Hello, and welcome back to the Peaceful Retirement. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we're going to talk about something that honestly breaks my heart because I hear it over and over again. It's the deep regret many women in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s feel about financial decisions they made decades earlier. And what's interesting is this: these women aren't regretful because they didn't make enough money. Many of them had strong careers. Many earned excellent incomes. Some were highly successful professionals and business owners. No, what they regret are the financial mistakes, the decisions they made or didn't make that cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars, or worse, cost them peace of mind during retirement. And here's the hardest part: almost every one of these mistakes was preventable. I want to be honest with you. If you're watching this video, there's a chance you may be close to making one or several of these same mistakes yourself. And I'm not saying that to frighten you. I'm saying it because I want to help protect you. Think about this. You've worked hard your entire life. You earned money, you saved money, you sacrificed, you delayed gratification. And all of that effort should lead to a retirement that feels secure, peaceful, and fulfilling. But these 7 mistakes can quietly undermine everything you worked for. They can create unnecessary stress, they can reduce your independence, and they can cost you far more than you realize. So today, I want to walk you through the 7 financial mistakes I hear most often from women who are deep into retirement and wishing they could go back and do things differently. By the end of this video, you'll understand what these mistakes are, why women make them, and most importantly, how to avoid them. This is not about judgment. It's about protection. It's about giving you the clarity and information you need to create the retirement you truly deserve. Are you ready? Margaret's regrets. I want to introduce you to Margaret. Margaret is a combination of several real women I've spoken with over the years, and her story is more common than you might think. Margaret was successful. She worked as a marketing executive for a Fortune 500 company. She earned around $150,000 a year. She was married for 35 years. She raised 2 children. From the outside, it looked like she did everything right. But Margaret is now 68 years old, and she carries deep regret about many of her financial decisions. She once told me, "I worked so hard for all those years. I thought I was being responsible. But when I look back now, I realize I made decision after decision that cost me far more than I understood at the time." Here are some of Margaret's regrets. She regrets not negotiating her salary more aggressively in her 40s and 50s. She believed being grateful for her job mattered more than asking for better compensation. Over the course of her career, that decision cost her nearly $400,000 in lost earnings and investment growth. She regrets delaying retirement by 5 years because she was afraid she hadn't saved enough. During those years, she was exhausted and burned out. Ironically, those extra years only added about $200,000 to her retirement savings, money she likely never needed because she was too drained to enjoy the life she worked so hard to build. She regrets being overly conservative with her investments. Fear of market losses kept her from investing for long-term growth, and as a result, her retirement savings grew far less than they could have. She also regrets not having serious conversations about long-term care planning. Now she's helping care for an aging parent and realizing she isn't financially prepared for the possibility that she may eventually need care herself. But what stayed with me most was this: I didn't know then what I know now. If I had understood these things earlier, my retirement would feel completely different. I'd feel peaceful, secure. I'd sleep better at night. Margaret's story is heartbreaking, but it's also preventable. And that's exactly why we're talking about these 7 mistakes today. Mistake number 1, failing to negotiate your salary and advocate for your value. This is especially common among women. Research consistently shows that women negotiate less aggressively than men, and when they do negotiate, they often ask for less. The long-term impact is enormous. A woman who misses out on a $10,000 salary increase at age 45 could lose nearly $400,000 by retirement once you factor in raises, investment growth, and compounding. Think about that. One conversation, one moment of courage, potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime. Many women avoid negotiating because they fear being viewed as difficult. They don't want to seem greedy. They feel grateful simply to have the opportunity. They were never taught how to advocate for themselves financially. But here's the important truth. Your salary isn't just about today. It shapes your entire financial future. A higher income means more money to invest, larger retirement contributions, higher Social Security benefits, greater flexibility during emergencies. Women over 60 who regret this mistake often say the same thing. I wish I had understood that asking for fair compensation wasn't selfish. If you're in your 40s or 50s, you still have time. Negotiate, ask for raises, increase your earning power when opportunities arise. Your future self will thank you for it. Mistake number 2, being too conservative with investments during your 40s and 50s. This is a major one because the consequences compound over time. In your 40s and 50s, retirement may still be 15 to 25 years away. That's a long investment horizon, long enough to recover from downturns, long enough to benefit from market growth. But many women, especially those who experienced financial instability earlier in life, keep too much of their retirement savings in extremely conservative investments. Cash, low-yield accounts, stable value funds. And over time, that caution becomes very expensive. For example, if a woman invests $100,000 at a 3% annual return, by age 65, she'll have roughly $156,000. But at a 6% return, that same $100,000 grows to approximately $267,000. That's a difference of more than $111,000. Now imagine that difference across a full retirement portfolio. On $500,000 invested, the gap between conservative and moderate growth could exceed $500,000. Women over 60 regret this because they realize the market ultimately grew more than they feared. They missed years of compounding growth, and now they have less financial flexibility than they hoped for. The goal is balance. You don't need to take reckless risks, but you also can't let fear quietly cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Mistake number 3, failing to prepare for long-term care and healthcare expenses. This is one of the biggest financial blind spots for retirees, and unfortunately, many women don't think seriously about it until it's too late. Here's the reality. A woman who reaches age 65 has roughly a 70% chance of needing some form of long-term care during her lifetime. That could mean in-home assistance, assisted living, skilled nursing care. And the costs are staggering. Home health care can cost $4,000 to $6,000 per month. Assisted living may range from $4,000 to $8,000 monthly. Nursing homes can exceed $10,000 per month in many areas. Now imagine needing that care for 5 or even 10 years. We're talking about potential expenses ranging from several $100,000 to well over $1 million. And many people mistakenly assume Medicare will cover these costs. In most cases, it won't. Women over 60 often regret this because they assumed it probably won't happen to me. Insurance will handle it. My children will help. Now they're facing difficult realities, draining retirement savings, depending financially on family, losing independence sooner than expected. The women who handled this well usually did one of 3 things: purchased long-term care insurance earlier in life, planned their finances strategically, had honest conversations with family about future care expectations. The worst time to think about long-term care is when you already need it. Mistake number 4, taking Social Security benefits too early. This decision depends on personal circumstances, but many women regret claiming benefits too soon. They claimed Social Security at 62 because they worried, what if I don't live long enough? I want the money now. What if Social Security changes in the future? But they never fully examined the long-term math. Claiming benefits early permanently reduces monthly income. For example, if your full retirement benefit is $2,000 per month, at age 62, about $1,400 per month. At age 67, about $2,000 per month. At age 70, roughly $3,480 per month. Over 20 or 30 years, that difference becomes enormous. Many women who claimed early are now in their late 70s or 80s, wishing they had waited, because living on $1,400 a month feels very different from living on $3,000 or more. Now, delaying isn't always possible. Health problems, job loss, or financial hardship can make early claiming necessary. But many women made this decision emotionally instead of strategically, and they regret it later. Mistake number 5, avoiding estate planning. This is something many people delay because it feels uncomfortable, so they avoid it. No will, no healthcare directive, no power of attorney, no updated beneficiary information, and eventually, the consequences catch up. Without proper planning, families can spend years in probate court. Legal costs rise dramatically. Assets may not be distributed according to personal wishes. Medical decisions may become chaotic during emergencies. But beyond legal complications, the emotional burden is significant. Many women over 60 quietly carry anxiety because they know their affairs aren't organized. They say things like, "I know my children are going to struggle if something happens to me," or "I'm not even sure my current will reflects my wishes anymore." Estate planning is not just about death. It's about peace of mind while you're alive. At minimum, most people need a will or trust, financial power of attorney, healthcare directive, updated beneficiaries, clear communication with family members. Handling these things now can save your family enormous stress later. Mistake number 6, going through divorce without fully understanding the financial impact. Many women divorce later in life, sometimes in their 50s, sometimes in their 60s. And while divorce may absolutely be necessary in some situations, many women enter the process emotionally unprepared for the long-term financial consequences. After decades of marriage, finances are deeply connected. Retirement accounts, pensions, Social Security, property, investments, everything is intertwined. And if decisions are made emotionally instead of strategically, the damage can last for decades. For example, a woman keeps the family home because of sentimental attachment, but gives up valuable retirement assets in the process. Years later, she discovers the home is expensive to maintain, while retirement savings are dangerously low. This happens more often than people realize. Women who regret these decisions often say they wish they had hired a stronger attorney, worked with a financial advisor, fully understood the long-term numbers before agreeing to a settlement. If you're considering divorce later in life, you need professional guidance, not just emotional support, financial clarity. Because losing retirement assets in your 50s can dramatically affect the next 20 or 30 years of your life. Mistake number 7, helping family financially without protecting yourself first. This mistake usually comes from love. Women want to help their children, their grandchildren, their aging parents. And generosity itself is not the problem. The problem is sacrificing your own security in the process. Here's how it often happens: helping with a house down payment, paying off adult children's debt, covering tuition, supporting parents financially. Individually, each decision feels reasonable, but over time, the amounts become substantial, and by the time retirement arrives, there's far less financial cushion remaining. Women over 60 often say, "I gave everything to everyone else, and now I'm the one struggling." Here's the important truth. Protecting your retirement is not selfish, it's responsible. Because if your retirement collapses financially, your children may eventually need to support you instead. Healthy boundaries sound like this: I can help you, but only within limits that protect my retirement. That can be difficult to say, but it's necessary. The women who feel secure later in life are often the ones who learned how to say no when needed. Women who feel truly secure in retirement tend to approach these areas very differently. They advocate for their value. They negotiate confidently. They invest with a long-term mindset. They prepare carefully for healthcare and aging. They treat Social Security as a strategic decision. They organize their estate plans early. If they divorce, they approach it with financial clarity. And they maintain healthy financial boundaries with family. These women are not necessarily smarter, and they didn't always start with more money. They simply made more intentional decisions. And the good news is this: if you're in your 50s or even your 60s, many of these choices can still be improved. Your future retirement experience is being shaped by the decisions you make today. When you look closely at all 7 of these mistakes, a deeper pattern appears. Most of them are rooted in fear. Fear of asking for what you deserve, fear of investing, fear of aging and healthcare realities, fear of mortality, fear of conflict during divorce, fear of disappointing family members. And fear is understandable. Many women were raised to prioritize everyone else first, to avoid conflict, to stay agreeable. But here's what's important. The opposite of fear is not recklessness. It's clarity. When you become clear about your needs, your future, and your priorities, fear loses much of its power. You can still be kind, still generous, still compassionate, but you begin making decisions from strength instead of anxiety, and that changes everything. The women who feel most peaceful later in life are not always the wealthiest. They're the women who made intentional choices with clarity and confidence. Here's what I want you to remember from today's video. First, if you've already made some of these mistakes, don't punish yourself. You made the best decisions you could with the information you had at the time. What matters now is what you choose moving forward. Second, your financial life and your peace of mind are deeply connected. When your finances are organized and intentional, stress decreases. You sleep better. You feel more secure. You feel more in control of your future. Third, you do not have to navigate this alone. Financial advisors, attorneys, accountants, and estate planners are not luxuries. Used wisely, they are investments in your future security and peace of mind. And finally, it is never too late to make better decisions. Never. You deserve financial security. You deserve peace. And you deserve to advocate for yourself. Don't wait for regret to become your teacher. Learn now. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next week for another conversation about retirement planning and living well.